One of the most common questions we get is, how do I keep loving a kid that treats me horribly?
So basically what we're exploring is how to be kind to a child who's being a
Can't take her anywhere. Hey guys, welcome to Potty Break, the vlog for adoptive and foster parents to multitask at that one moment of the day you get to yourself.
So let's answer the question. Lynn, you have parents in your office all the time, and what do you tell parents when they ask you, how do I love a kid who's being mean to me?
Well, I have to say, first of all, I'm just going to set the expectations well, and this isn't going to be easy. It's going to be hard to do, and in fact, it's probably a supernatural thing that we end up loving somebody who treats us poorly. But then, I also don't want to demonize the child. This is just not their fault. They have these two opposing, conflicting things going on inside their hearts and their minds all the time. Number one is they have this need to attach. They have this need to belong. They have this need for intimacy.
Even though they might treat you as though they don't. They might push you away.
I don't believe this is ever seen more clearly than in a study that was done at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, where they tested children that had significant levels of neglect in their lives. And they had them interact with adults in their lives, and then they tested their cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, and they found that they were very normal. And then they had these same kids interact with their parents, and they found that their cortisol levels were extremely high. And so we have these two opposing things. We have these kids who want to be attached, but yet as they approach their parents, they have this stress response, which for some of them can be physically painful, but for sure it's very stressful to approach their parents. And so as they approach, they get scared. So it's almost like a rubber band. What happens is over time, this need to be intimate stretches, and we build up more of these potential energy to cause these kids to want to connect. And when they get so much of this potential energy, that overrides their fear that they approach us. But as they approach us, that gets less and less, and so these kids will usually do one of two things. They either run the other direction, literally, or they try to push us away in some way by being mean to us, or literally pushing us away, or making snide comments to us. And so that is what causes it to be so incredibly painful.
What we have to keep in mind too is that as the cortisol levels go up and anxiety goes up, brain function goes down. So for these children, there's already a lot of trauma to the brain, and the parts of the brain that are really firing are the parts that are the fight, flight, or freeze. So they're not really thinking through things. Our kids did some stuff that I would think pretty significant and they would remember, and to this day they swear that they didn't do it. They don't remember doing any of those things because the parts of the brain that were working were those survival parts of the brain. So they're not really thinking and processing logically like we would expect people to do.
So just understanding that our kids are going through hard circumstances is just really the beginning of this process. So we're going to take the next 6 or so episodes of Potty Break and just delve into this a little bit more, because we think that this is probably one of the key factors in helping parents be successful in raising their foster and adopted kids.
I just want to make sure that we give you hope, because we know that it's possible. And I know that probably some of you where you're at, it doesn't feel possible, but we just want to tell you, as a couple who's raised 3 foster to adopt children that had a lot of trauma, and we dealt with this a lot, it is possible and you can get past this.
As always, if you like the content we're producing, subscribe down below. That helps us out a lot, and share this with your friends. Until then, we'll see you at your next Potty Break, and don't forget to flush.
Don't forget to wash your hands. So basically what we're exploring is how to be kind to a child who's being a mean-spirited, sour-faced poo-poo head.
Can't take her anywhere.